Good afternoon, everyone. I think that we have the conditions to start and moving on program on In2Cop 2026. And to start the session of the afternoon, we have with us Bill O'Gorman. Thank you very much for your presence. Professor Bill is Professor Emeritus at Southeast Technological University, CETU in Ireland. He is currently the Director for Research of the Central Enterprise Development and Regional Economy, CEDRE. We have here CEDRE, yes. Faculty of Business in CETU, and his research focus on entrepreneurial regions, regional development, and internship. Professor Bill will share with us a presentation about the CETU innovation ecosystem, a dynamic evolution. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Can people hear me? Can everybody hear me? It's just less things to... Okay. So hello to all you people online. If I get confused here, I will. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Claudia. Thank you very much, and thanks to our hosts here in Braganza, myself and my two colleagues, Mary in the back there, Mary Fenton, and Michael McGrath. That we've been here in Braganza since Sunday afternoon, and we've been well treated, and it's kind of hard to stay awake now, because we've been so well fed, especially after lunch, and I don't know whether it is better to be doing this presentation before lunch, for everybody is anxious and they just want to get out the door and have lunch, or to do it after lunch when you're all nearly asleep, and I've got to entertain you to keep you awake. So we'll see how we go anyway. So for the next hour or so, I will talk to you about, okay, now I'm just teasing Claudia because she asked me how long this will be. So for the next 15 to 20 minutes, I will talk to you about the Southeast Enterprise Technology University. Now, I'm just going to talk about one particular research center in that, and that's a research center that I belong to, which is called Arc Labs Research and Innovation Center. And I'm just going to talk about that particular center because of its impact on the Southeast region. And so this presentation is about, as it says there, is about the dynamic evolution, because the story isn't finished yet. And part of the story is why we're here today, why the three of us are here today, why Michael, Mary, and myself are here this week, I should say, is because we want to emulate some of the work that Braganza are doing here in the northern part of Portugal. I was going to say Spain, but sure, look, in the northern part of Portugal. So anyway, we'll get through the presentation. So just very briefly, what the Southeast Technology Center is about. Why isn't that coming up? And it's not coming up here. Okay. Well, this is my own system.
Yes.
And my own system is this is different than that.
But I help you.
Okay, there we go.
Here.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, but so just very briefly, the Southeast Technology University is an amalgamation of two what were formerly institutes of technology. One was based up in Carlow, the other was based in Waterford. And Waterford is at the very south of Ireland. But now, because of that amalgamation, there are actually four campus elements to the university. We have about over 18,000 students between us, and we have a lot of engagement with the region. So this is just the internal part of the ecosystem. So, as I said, what I'm going to talk to you about is and that's the wrong slide as well. Okay, yeah. So the Within the centre that I'm involved with, the Arc Labs Research and Innovation Centre, currently there are 24 businesses involved in that centre. And some of those are actually spin-outs, some of them are spin-ins, some of them are just companies that wanted to operate with researchers in our research centre, and they have come to join us. So that's in 2025. But over the last 20 years, I would say that we would have had maybe 3 to 4 times that amount of businesses that have churned over the period of time. So it's not static, it keeps on changing. So that's the way it is now. But in 2004, in the Arc Labs Research and Innovation Centre, that's what we had. We had nothing. And the region, the southeast region, was in a very poor state because it just was one of the less developed regions in the country. And in 2004, some of the statistics for 2004 is that of the 307 companies that were supported by an agency called Enterprise Ireland. Now, Enterprise Ireland is, oops, hang on a second. See, this, I thought you'd have a problem with all these things, right, okay? But the Enterprise Ireland is responsible, it's the state agency that's responsible for developing indigenous enterprises in Ireland. So it focuses mainly on enterprises that have more than 10 people and that have the ability to grow and to export and so on. So in 2004, of the 307 companies that were supported by Enterprise Ireland, only 2 of them were classified as software companies, and 8 of them were classified as electronics companies. So very small percentages. Of the 678 companies that were supported by what we call the county enterprise boards at the time, they're now called the local enterprise offices. And the county enterprise boards are also state agencies, and they're responsible for companies that are smaller than 10 employees. So they would be micro enterprises. So anything from 1 to 10 is the county enterprise boards, and above 10 is Enterprise Ireland. Of the 678 companies there at the time, 54 or 8% were considered to be software, and 17 were considered to be electronics. However, of all those companies that were considered to be software, the vast majority of them were quite simply single people that were developing websites or marketing sites or things like that. They weren't really software companies. They weren't at the high-tech end of things. In 2004, there were no financial services companies in the southeast region, and having high-tech companies and ICT companies in the region was a scarcity, to say the least. And there were 4 health, pharmaceutical companies in the region. But down the very bottom of the screen there, you can see that 50% of the second-level students, so they're students that would be pre-university, that only 50% of the students actually came to, well, first of all, they only 50% went to third-level education at the time. And 60% of the graduates from what is now the Southeast Technology University would have left the area to get employment elsewhere. So we were actually educating people to leave the area, anybody that would come to stay with us. So then in 2004, 4 of us in particular got together, and we already had some, and as I said, I'm only talking about one research centre in the university. There are 3 other very major ones. But this particular one was focused on technology, that was focused on IT and as I said, high value add technology. So at the time before Arc Labs started, there was already an engagement between one of our lead researchers in university at the time, and he was supported by Enterprise Ireland to develop what we know as a gateway, and a technology gateway. And in Ireland, there are about, I think, 8 technology gateways. And this particular one was focused on what we call TSSG, Telecommunications Software Systems Group. So they were focused on telecommunications, mobile communications, and that sort of thing. But the thing is, okay, is that this person, Professor Willie Donnelly is his name, and myself and 2 of Willie's top engineers developed what we call the Arc Labs Research and Innovation Centre. And what's in that centre, okay, was that it was, as it says there, it was an open innovation-based system based on collaborative interactions. But the most important thing is that it involved the coexistence of researchers, companies, and academia. So it was the first place in Ireland where you actually had this coexistence of these 3 different bodies. And we set the scene for that type of activity in Ireland. And it worked, okay, because we had an ecosystem there where when people went to the restaurant or the canteen, that they were meeting people from other spheres of life. They were meeting academics, they were meeting people from industry. We had 3 or 4 companies there at the time. And they were meeting researchers. And the amount of ideas that were bouncing off each other at that particular point in time for the first number of years was absolutely tremendous. And as a result of that, we had about maybe, I'd say about 6, within about 2 years, we had about maybe 6 spin-outs that the engineers that were actually working on EU-funded research had developed their own businesses. Now, part of the engagement from an academic point of view is that myself and a colleague by the name of Eugene Crehan, that we had a research centre within that innovation centre called the Centre for Enterprise Development and Regional Economy, CEDRA. And what we did was, I was responsible for the policy and European funded programs, and Eugene was responsible for the what we call the education program. So between us, we developed a postgraduate diploma in enterprise development for entrepreneurs who wanted to start their own business. And the idea about this was, was that even though Enterprise Ireland and the County Enterprise Boards did have start your own business programs, etc., to help people to get into business, there was actually no formal qualification for those people that were trying. So often was the case that people would start off, or try to start off an enterprise, and they would fail, and they'd be left with nothing. And they would have actually spent a year to 18 months of their lives trying to start a business, and they have nothing at the end. So what we decided to do was to make sure that they do have something at the end, that they would have a qualification. And the idea of the qualification was twofold. It was one, that they would have the qualification, and the other was that they could use this qualification to bring to financiers, to bring to investors, to bring to banks, to say that, look, I know what I'm doing here. I know how to start off a business. I'm after going through this intensive program for 18 months, so therefore, don't ignore me. Give me a chance. And obviously some people that were on that course, they didn't always start a business. So, but by the mere fact that they were on it and they were getting a qualification, that the outputs of the program, if you like, the qualification was that they have to have a business plan for their business at the end of it. But if they didn't have a business, then they had to have a personal life plan as a result. So in other words, we're after finding out the business doesn't work, we're in the wrong space, we don't know what we're doing, so we don't want to continue with it, but by God, I know how I'm going to do my career because of the result of this. So that engagement, between us as academics, and researchers who had the interest in starting their business, and the researchers themselves and the other companies that are in the business, created a dynamic, evolutionary ecosystem that really transformed the southeast region of Ireland. So just very briefly, see, there we go again. just this is how a diagram, I won't go through the diagram, but as you see there, that you have the researchers, or the TSSG, they were funded by Science Foundation Ireland and the Higher Education Authority. They also got funding from competitive funding from the EU. And over here then on the right-hand side, okay, you had companies that were actually in situation in the Enterprise Centre, and you had our education program, our academic program based in the centre, and we had the incubation centre, and there between the companies and the research, you had process of technology transfer and the commercialization process. So what did that result in? Okay, is that it resulted that, and these figures just go back as far as 2020 because they're actual figures that are published. So during that period of time is that there was a huge increase. First, as I said, there was very little activity as regards ICT in the region. And part of the reason why was because who wanted to go to the south east of Ireland, okay? Because it was a poor region, okay? And I know that you here in Braganza had the same similar difficulty in trying to get people from other parts of Portugal to come up to this part of the world, okay? It's a beautiful part, okay, but beauty doesn't get you anything, right, okay? Except if you're like me. And okay. But the point being though is that part of the problem is that if you did have a software engineer that wanted to do something, okay, or a technology developer, that if he or she came to the southeast, they were kind of trapped there because there wasn't much by way of employment. So if they wanted to leave their job to go somewhere else, they would have to go back to the bigger cities like Dublin or Cork or whatever, because there was nothing to go to in the southeast. But as I said, after 16 years, okay, because of the work that was happening in the Art Labs Research and Innovation Centre, okay, we had built up. We didn't do it on our own, okay. I mean, obviously, Enterprise Ireland and the local enterprise offices were part of the process of improving things. But companies began to come into the region because of the researchers that were in the centre. So now people had choice. So now because people had choice, because you now had companies that were starting up in the region, it meant that people will come to the region because now they could feel that, okay, I can spend a year or two here and I can go off to another company and I don't have to move house or anything. Yeah. So again, that was part of the process of building up the ICT sector in the southeast. And by 2020, there were over 100 companies in the southeast, 100 technology companies in the southeast. Now, I'm not talking about multinationals, I'm just talking about Irish-owned companies that have been started off in the region. So from 4 up to 100, not a bad going at all. The amount of ICT staff employment in the region in 2020, over 5,700 people. That did include multinationals and so on. But again, from a low base of only a small number of people up to over 5,000, that was a huge, tremendous growth. And today, that number is even higher. In 2020, 70% of graduates within the Southeast Technology University are actually from the region that we're in, whereas that wasn't the case in the past. Okay, that most of the people that were ready to go to university went to university outside the region. That number today now is probably around 80% of the people in the region will actually come to the Southeast Technology University. And most importantly, 89% of the graduates were employed in the Southeast. And again, that's a huge increase. And again, it's not, I'm not saying that we're the only ones that did it, but we were a key part of improving that socio-economic environment in the region. So that's just a brief summary as to where we came from and where we're going to, and what the base is to go to next. And again, the purpose of this presentation is just to say to you that the HAI does have an impact on the region. And again, I'm only talking about one research centre within in the region. So if you think the other research centres have similar types of impacts in what's happening in the region. So we don't stop just because we're after doing all that, okay? We don't stop. And currently, I'm involved in trying to push out a new agenda on behalf of the centre that I'm involved with, which is called Dungarvan Enterprise Centre, and also the CEDRA organisation. And that's why Mary and Michael and myself are over here as well too, is because we want to test our ideas here in Braganza, and we also want to learn from you as well. So some of what you're going to see next, okay, some of you might cringe, and some of you might fall off the chair and say, no, that's all wrong. Okay, but this is our interpretation of what it is that we want to do. So basically what we want to do is that we want to shape the future of the agri-system in the southeast region. So our focus is on working with the farm community, working with food producers, and working with agri-tech businesses in the region. Now, before I go on, okay, let me say that we do have a lot of excellent support units in the region already, such as Chaugus is the main farm organisation that supports farmers, and they've got research centres and so on and so forth. The TSSG that I talked about, okay, which is now called the Walton Institute, already does a lot of support in that area. You have Enterprise Ireland, you have local enterprise offices, etc., etc. But you don't have an integrated support unit there. That's all very disparate and very disjointed. I was going to say dysfunctional, but that's not the right word to use. It's disjointed. It's functional, but disjointed. So what we plan to do is, oops. So that was the last slide. So if you're watching, okay, don't worry. Your clock is still working, okay, so don't worry. So what we're planning to do is to set up what we call a collaborative living laboratory. So this is bringing together a collaborative laboratory, the living laboratories, into the one environment. So our mission there, okay, as it says, okay, is to establish a national innovation centre, the collaborative living laboratory, in the southeast region, particularly in the county which we're based, which is called Waterford, to empower farmers, food producers, and tech innovators to collaborate, test new technologies, and drive substantial growth. As I said, there's a lot of other units already in operation who are doing excellent jobs, but they're not all integrated together. So part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to set this up in the southeast of Ireland. It doesn't exist anywhere else in Ireland. And again, the point about this message, okay, is that this has been driven by a university academic, i.e. me, okay? Yes, I got support from people like Mary and from Michael and so on and so forth. But the point being, okay, it's been driven by academia, okay? It's not been driven by anybody else. And again, this is the point about the HEI's impact on regional economic development in the region in which it is based. So where we are, we're at the early stages of the project, which is why we're over here, because we're gathering information. So we're at the early stage of the project of trying to identify exactly what is it that we're doing? What is it do we really know what this is about and how it's going to work? How we're going to make it work? And already we have started sending out surveys to food producers to ask them. I think there could be well over 100 at this stage gone out to food producers. We've already made contact with what we call key influencers in the farm community. And we're expecting those key influencers to pass on the information to other farmers and farm people in the environment to get them to respond to questionnaires. We will have a public consultation session on the 11th of February, which will involve these type of people. And the idea is, okay, we've got to complete a feasibility study by the end of March, early April, so that we can put together a comprehensive implementation plan as to how we're going to make the collaborative living laboratory work. If we put that plan together, and if it is acceptable by Enterprise Ireland, we will receive a lot more money in order to make it happen. So there's a lot of at stake at this, and it will be the first of such an entity in Ireland. Now, what do we mean by collaborative living laboratory? And we know that, I'm glad I got people in the audience that are awake. Thank you very much. Okay. You're paying attention, that's very important, good. Those of you that are listening online, are you paying attention? Are you still there? Good. So what we mean by and again, there are excellent collaborative laboratories here in Braganza, and we learned a lot yesterday. But what we plan to do is to have a virtual environment, okay, where the center, okay, is a link, an interfacer between researchers, between farmers, between food producers, between technologists, and so on. And the idea is to offer, I suppose, an opportunity of bringing these people together into a collaborative environment so that they're actually engaging with each other. Now, today what's happening is that you would have, we say, one of those engaging with another, like, for example, a researcher engaging with farm community and so on and so forth, but you don't have the whole lot working together. As I said, we got great institutions that are working on an individual basis with individual sectors within the process, but you don't have it all working together. So the idea is to, I suppose, take fear out of the process, to get people to engage in each other in a more open way, to simplify the engagement. Now, we don't intend actually doing any technology work ourselves or anything like that, like what you're doing here, yeah, because we can't afford to do that, okay, but we don't have the resources to do that. We wouldn't have the professionals to do that. But the professionals exist elsewhere. And the idea is for us to set up something that will help different types of professionals to connect with each other to deliver a combined collaborative outcome. So so what we'll offer, okay, is obviously ways of what we say de-risking technology, but primarily is to empower businesses and farmers, okay, to work together and to grow together, so that they won't be separated, and they won't be acting individually, and again that the researchers get the research done. Now again, why are we so excited about making this happen in the Southeast region? Is that, believe it or not, the Southeast region is already well known in Ireland, that the farm communities are already well known, especially the dairy sector, are very well known as being very advanced in their way of uptaking technology. So the uptake of technology amongst farmers, especially dairy farmers in the Southeast, is in the country. So we're starting with a good base. So we already have open doors. Like in talking to the farm influencers, I thought, oh my God, these people don't know me for a start. They know I'm from an academic institution. My God, okay, and the things that they could say about that. What am I going to say to them? How am I going to convince them that this is something that they should be interested in? I did not get one bad comment or bad vibe from any person I talked to. And I talked to 14 different farm people. Some were big farms, some were small farms. And each one thought that this was a good idea. So even though these are experts, okay, and some of them are already, they're much more technologically savvy than I am, right? And they understand their businesses very, very well. But I didn't get any pushback from anybody. And every single one of them has said that, yeah, we need something like this. We've already done a number of face-to-face interviews with experts. And again, the feedback that we got so far has been very, very positive. So we are pushing an open door on this, and that is very encouraging indeed. I won't go through this slide in detail, but some of the things that we propose to offer will be on that slide. But primarily, it'll be a matchmaking is not the right word to use, okay, but it'll be an interface was a phrase that was used yesterday, an interface function, okay, that we are engaging with the different sectors of the community in order to have a collaborative environment. And we keep on stressing the collaborative because we want people to come together to share their knowledge, share their experience, and to have peer learning, okay? And that's some of the things we picked up already, okay, is that people will learn more from each other than they will from an academic or from a consultant or from an expert in the field, that they'll actually learn more about their own problems from each other than they will from anybody else. So we want to open up that type of environment, and that we will be the catalyst, if you like, in the process. And I mean, like, because the expertise is already there, why reinvent it? Why not use it? And again, we're very, very, very careful not to step on other agencies' toes, because obviously they've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever. So they know, so here, what are these guys doing here? Why they're going to take our job, or they're going to encroach on what we're doing. Well, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to open the doors for them to achieve more than what they're actually achieving today, even though they are achieving quite a lot as it currently stands. So that's just some of the supports that we offer. As I said, okay, we're not going to go into the actual technology part of itself, okay, but that we hope that through the collaborative process that we actually will speed up the whole process around product development, business model development, even process development itself, as well as product the development. And again, the idea will be the region itself will be far better off as a result of this collaborative engagement. So we're nearly at the end. How am I doing time-wise? I got another half an hour. So, yeah. So that if you can read that now in the dark shade, that is a summary of what I talked about. Okay. And the idea is, because again, what we're coming across, okay, is that in some of the interviews that we've done, is that even though micro enterprises and SMEs, they want to engage with technologists and they want to engage with researchers, they're afraid to do so because they think that their businesses are too small to do so. Or again, the usual thing about owner managers of small businesses that don't have time to engage. Or they don't know exactly what it is that they want to do or want to ask. And again, part of what we plan to do, okay, would be to have a series of engaging workshops where it won't be networking in the narrow sense, that to be more a collaborative engagement where we bring people together to identify, we say, key. What would you call them? Operational issues, okay, or regional issues that impact everybody in the region, and how they can do that. Yeah. And again, a lot of the farm people that we talk to, okay, some of the difficulties they have is that they're at the end of the food chain. So they're rather upset that everybody else is making money on what they're producing, and they're getting the smallest amount out of that. So part of the thing, the whole process here, will be how do we bring the farm closer to the consumer? Or how do we bring the farm closer to the consumer via the food producers, okay? But at the same time, that the farmer gets a fair return on their investments, as well as the food producers get a return. And again, technology will have a huge part to play in this and to engage with the process to make this happen in a very collaborative and smooth way. So that's it in summary, okay, what it is where this particular research, sorry, do it again. Have we got it? We have. We'll give you a prize afterwards for staying awake, okay? So so that's it in summary, okay? But as I said, okay, the point I wanted to make about this presentation, because I was asked to talk about HEI's influence on innovation and economic development in the region in which we're based. And I'm just talking about one particular research centre in the Southeast Technology University and the impact that we have had in the region. And that's just one of us, right? Okay, the other centres have had similar impacts regionally as well as nationally. And I just wanted to show that we don't just stop there, that we still are thinking, and that that there are other academics like me that are pushing agendas forward. So HEIs do have a major role to play in the socio-economic development of regions. Somebody's got to do it, okay, and somebody's got to bring it together. You have to be dependent on, it has to start somewhere, and in this particular case, it has been driven by the Southeast Technology University. because because Saudi, as I said, the technology university is very new, and its key strategy byline is impact and engagement with the region. And certainly this is engagement with the region, and it certainly will have a major impact as well. So thank you for your listening, and thank you for telling me to move on the slides every now and again, and appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bill, for your inspiring presentation about the innovation ecosystem and the role of the Southeast University on the development of the region. We have time for 1-2 questions, please. Will be the first. Thank you very much for helping me.
Payback. Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about what are the expected funding for this type of initiative? Did you thought a little bit about, are you going to...
What are the expected transits to?
The funding for the main structure.
Oh, the funding. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know. Yes. Now, that's an interesting one. As I said, okay, that what the three of us are doing at the moment, okay, we're putting a feasibility study together to verify or to prove that there is a need for this in the region. So far, so good as regards the feedback that we're getting. That's point number one. Point number two is that if we're successful in putting a very good proposal together, which has got to be done by early April, we will have an opportunity of getting up to €1 million. Now, what that €1 million will be used for, okay, will be used for hiring some staff and for developing programs. Now, we won't be hiring technologists, as I said, because there's loads of them around the place already, so we're not going to replicate what already is there. So we're going to hire key staff, okay, who will be looking at how do we actually implement what we said we would do, and what is the continuation of that. And as regards implementing the programs, then again, some of it will involve training, but we got to be careful that we're not doing training programs that are already been done in the region. So we have to have what's known as additionality. So we'll have to change exactly what it is that we're doing. Okay? Now, one of the things that we do is the masters in enterprise that you have over here, which is a fantastic model. So yeah, with permission. Do we have permission? With permission, we will take that, and that will be one of the programs that we'll deliver. And we'll engage people already in industry and as well as people that will come to industry. Still not answering your question fully yet, but there will be a charge for this. Okay? And yes, as you know yourself, okay, businesses, especially in the farm community, are not well known for paying for these types of services. So somehow we got to come over that. Now, part of what, by getting this funding from Enterprise Ireland, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the de minimis rule. Yeah? So the de minimis rule is that companies are entitled, I think, to have up to, I think it's €300,000 per annum kind of free money in a sense, right, okay? So what it means, for example, okay, is that if we're going to charge, say, €1,000 for a program, then the individual that comes on the program will only have to pay €200, right? So what we have to do is, okay, as part of our funding model is to be very strict and clear as regards what type of services and programs we can offer and what would be the commercial value of those, okay? So that we can say, okay, it's worth €1,000, everybody agrees it's worth €1,000, however, you only have to pay €200. So that's part of the funding model going forward. The €1 million should help us to implement this for between 2 and 3 years. Okay, so we got to make sure that whatever we do, that at the end of that period of time, it is self-funding. So I don't know if that answers the question. Okay, thanks.
More questions, please? Fernando.
Thank you. I'm curious. When you said that the farmers can try new technology in a very not expensive way and something like that, what kind of technology you are talking about? Small technology, I don't know. Or they, for instance, may try heavy machinery, and if yes, how do you do that exactly?
Okay, well, maybe a way to answer that question is to first of all say what type of technology we're not going to do, right? Okay, so for example, we're not going to tell farmers how to grow their crops better or how to milk their cows better or anything like that. Two reasons why: because we know nothing about that. Okay, and the other reason is there are already organizations in place that are doing a lot of that research directly with the farms, right? Okay, and in the southeast, they are like in this influencer group that I was telling you about. That there are some farmers there that are known as go-to farmers, right? Okay, and what that means is that they are model farms. They're also known as that they because they're engaging with an entity in Ireland called Teagasc, which is the big major farm support unit in Ireland. That because they're engaging in technology programs with them, these farms have become case studies and test beds for other farmers to come and see. Yeah. So part of the answer to your question is we're not going to do that because it's already been done. So the type of technology we're going to engage with, okay, will be around process development. Okay, it'll be about engagement with consumers. It'll be about engagement with research people and so on. And my friend Michael there is a whiz kid at AI, and I've learned more about AI in the last 48 hours than I could ever imagine, right? Okay, so we'll be bringing some of that to the farmers, and now not me and Michael, okay, but other people that'll be part of the process going forward. Yeah, does that explain that? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Last question, please. This is the last question. Professor Bill, thank you so much for your presentation and your presence here. Thank you.
And thank you all very much. Thank you.
Now we move to the workshop, connecting talent, knowledge, and regions. And I invite Alex Boroni, our first guest, to make your presentation. And a short presentation about Alex. It's a PhD student in business administration in FUMEC University, and it's also have a scholarship by CAPS, and why of that is with us in IPB. Alex, please. Do you have you can use this one. Okay.
Hello. Okay, thank you so much. I would like to start saying thank you for the group, the we group, to all of you. I would like to say thank you for Vera for receiving me, and also for Vitor, because Vitor Gonçalves was made a kind of bridge between us. Okay, so thank you. I would like to say thank you to my students in this semester. I can see here Thais. Okay, thank for all of you, and also Fernando. Fernando and I was with the same group along this semester. Thank you so much. Okay. And today I'm gonna talk to you about part of we did along this semester. So I will use a few examples here, examples that we created along this semester inside this group. The title is From Field Experience to Project Ideas, Design Thinking in Social Sciences. And I have here, let me see if it works or not. Okay. So, what is the purpose of this workshop? First of all, I would like to say about the field experiences, because the field experiences are very rich. Very rich because we have opportunity to work with the stakeholders, with the people that we are trying to give the solutions. Okay. So this workshop offers a bridge from experience to a project idea. And inside this workshop, we focus on early stage thinking, not in final solutions. Oh. Okay. So last week, it really made me happy. I had the opportunity to listen a question. A stakeholder that was working with us along the semester asked me, how did you identify and deliver what we need? So it really makes me happy, and I'm still happy about this question, because after listening that, I can say that students were able to identify exactly which phase, which step of the design thinking methodology has as deliverable, and also what is the function of each phase. And I said to this person, my answer was design thinking methodology, because we were able to use this framework and living the life of the other people, living the situation, the problems, the needs, all the stuffs that we need to identify in order to give a great solution. So in our case, we were working with the AEPGA. It is an association that all the students from my group were involved in this semester. And this association works with the protection of Mirandi's dunks. So, along this period, because we are working since the beginning of September, they had too many social and also cultural challenges. To do that, to be able to go away, to win these steps, we use these phases. This is the approach using design thinking from the first phase and also the last phase. Here in our group, we have another instruments, another elements that we put inside these phases. We have deliverables that the guys from the teams has to do. So the first phase is empathy. I say to my students all the time that I believe that empathy is the most important phase, okay? We have the opportunity to live their lives, to understand the pains, understand what they need. And as you can see, the result from the phase one will control the rest of this structure. So if we are not able to make a first phase, a nice first phase, a good first phase, then the next phases maybe will not be so good. And after empathy, we have the phase two, the name is defining. And I put there, how might we? How might we is a tool, but we do not have only this tool, but it's a wonderful and powerful tool, helpful tool that we can use in this phase. And we used along this process in this semester. And as you can see in the first phase, the empathy, as I told you, we have opportunity to understand the pains, understand what they need. But we can see too many pains to be solved, and we do not have a way to solve all these problems at the same time. So we have to choose one problem, and in phase 2, define this one problem. This problem is the problem that will be solved in the phase 2. After phase 2, we have to generate ideas for the phase 2. So I'm just generating ideas to solve only this problem that we have in phase 2. After phase 2, in the end, it's usual have only one idea after finish this phase. With this idea, we go to the phase number 4, where we are able to prototype and also make the tests. So we are doing the tests and also the prototype for the idea, the final idea from the phase number 3. Along this process, maybe if it doesn't work, something, for example, I have an idea that is not so good, that's okay. We can come back always. We can come back to the first phase, to the second phase. It's okay. So, talking just a little bit more about each phase. The first phase is the moment, as I told you, to understand who is affected. So in this case, the affected was the association and also the donkeys, because we are talking about the animals. We have to understand these animals. What do they need? Where does it happen? Maybe inside the association, maybe inside in the place where these donkeys live. Why does it matter? Why is it important to be solved? What do we have to do to solve this situation that will change the life of the association and also the lives of the donkeys? For example, our group created something more or less like this text. During the empathy phase, we identified that few people are aware of the protection needs and cultural value of Mirandese donkeys. So, as I said you, it is just one of the things that were identified in this phase. Now, we choose this one to follow to the next phase. The next phase is the number 2, defining. And we use, in this case, in this phase, how might we? How might we, as I told you, is a wonderful and powerful tool, because we can put in the same sentence the action, audience, and the outcome. In this case, we created our how might we questions, how might we create meaningful experiences that connect people to Mirandese donkeys. This is the action. For visitors and the local community, this is the audience. To foster respect and raise support for the shelter to AEPGA expansion. This is the outcome. So now we do not have just a problem. We have a problem organized, because we can see in the same sentence, in the same question, the action, the audience, and also the outcome. And after that, we go to the next phase, ideas. This is the moment for the early ideas. We will be able to create the crazy ideas. Why not? We can create the ideas that maybe doesn't work, maybe seems to be a crazy stuff, but maybe we can use part of these ideas. And this is the moment for the initial assumptions. One of the ideas of the group was a digital fundraising platform that shares the story and reality of Mirandese donkeys, can engage visitors and the local community, fostering respect and generating support for shelter expansion. And the phase number 4, prototype and the first tests. It is the moment to what could be tested first, and also who would be the first test to use this prototype. So along this moments we had opportunity to know the association, to know the needs, to know exactly what is the pain, and try to give a solution. As I told you in the beginning of this presentation, it was really nice here from the stakeholder. Why did you discover exactly what we need? So this is what we have to do using this methodology. And now I would like to propose a quick peer interaction. So only 3 minutes. You don't need to share with me the results. First of all, you can form pairs with the person next to you. The person that you have sit down belongs to you. One person shares a real problem. For example, I was coming here from the IPB and I saw a piece of paper in the floor. And I think, okay, what we can do to solve this solution? It is a problem. How can we do not have paper and trash on the sidewalks? So after this problem, we have to frame it. How might we question? For example, I have to think in the action, audience, and also the outcome. Without using pen and paper, it's not necessary. Just to think, how might we question, how to take this problem, the garbage, the trash on the sidewalk, take this problem and bring it as the sentence using action, audience, and also the outcome. So from this problem, from one person, could be a personal problem, community problem, as I told you right now. You can think about how might we question. And after that, generate one or two quick ideas. For example, I was thinking today, maybe we can use a QR code and a person that is walking on a sidewalk and see, oh, what is that? Oh, let me check what is that. So, okay, it's talking about the problem of this paper and the trash on a river, Fervença River, for example, that is it's near for us. And after that, think of a small prototype and first test. It is the small prototype that I told you, a QR code, for example. In the tests, I could say, for example, I could put the QR code and watch the people on the sidewalk, and then the first person that has a kind of interaction with the QR code, I can ask, what did you think about this one? And it makes you have more conscious about the trash, about the garbage. So it is just to think and talk a little bit, only 3 minutes, about the first phases, the important phase that we have. It is share a problem, frame how might we question, generate one idea, and think of a small prototype and test. Let's do it. 3 minutes. Okay? So, I came back a few slides. Let me, okay, it was the slides that I was talking about. And after that, what you have? You have a framed challenge. And now you have the problem. After that, you are able to create the problem in a specific way using the how might we question. You have the ideas or maybe one idea in this moment and also a direction for a first test. In this case, before you have to do the prototype. And in these QR codes, I put this image. If you desire, you can access to take this picture because this picture is exactly what we are doing in this process in order to be able to identify the needs, identify the problems, identify the reality of the association in this case or another stakeholder, doesn't matter. It could be applied in another situation, in all situations. And the final message is good projects start with empathy, not with solutions. So empathy, it's really important for this process. And another stuff that I would like to talk about this final message, it works because there is trust inside the groups. It was something that Ana Teresa told us today in this morning. She said also about another stuffs, but I think trust is very important. We are be able to create innovation using this process. Along this process, we have co-creation because in the final step, in the prototype, we are able to work with the another people inside this group and also with the stakeholders doing the co-creation along this process. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex. I invite you to stay here, and we have questions at the end. Now I invite Alexandre Gonçalves. Is researcher and perform functions of technical scientific coordinator for the food and biological based products areas at More Collab. Thank you very much for your presence, and the floor is yours. Can we have the presentation, please?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So thank you so much for the invitation to be here today. Yeah. Okay. So I have a brief presentation just to talk a little bit about our experiencing on trying to perform prototyping of the different challenges that we face in our institution. So just for those that still don't know us, we are a non-profit that works in Brigante Eco Park in the other side of the city. And we mainly work on this interface between industry and academia. We have, I was just checking to make sure this is the right presentation, but I hope so. So we, in our team, we have researchers focused in 5 different areas, or mainly 4, but so bio-based food and products and processes, that's my team. Then we have our colleagues that works on agricultural, environmental, and ecosystem management. Then we have our colleagues that work more on technology, industrialization, Industry 4.0. And you also have colleagues that work on environments, in heritage, tourism, well-being, those type of approaches. So just to lead you with some numbers to start with. So we started working in 2019. We started to work with IPB and then different companies. And so for the last couple of years, we have started to get some relevant numbers in terms of number of projects, funding that we were able to acquire, and also that our partners have been able to acquire. So my team in specifically, I work on the bio-based industries. So our main goal is to try to add value to our natural resources in our region, so chestnuts, almonds, olives, and so on. We also want to give value to our byproducts that we have, and also we know that there are a lot of these raw materials and byproducts have a lot of added value molecules, compounds, and we also try to work on the valorization of these target compounds. And so specifically about the topic that I was invited to talk a little bit. So maybe a lot of you already have recognized this term, so the innovation valley of death. So the problem that we face a lot is that a lot of research after proof of concept, what happens is that it doesn't translate to market. So after fundamental research, when we have the idea or we can do the proof of concept for a technology, for a product, for whatever it is, we still then need to scale it up to the industry, to the commercial level before it's ready in the market. And so doing this transition is problematic. It's problematic because of different issues, and I will give some examples that we face, but mainly, so lack of investment is one of them. The lack of the right partnerships is also another one. Regulation, the technology sometimes is not right yet, or the first idea for the use of technology might not be the best use case, so there is a lot of different issues. But so if one issue is the lack of investment, the other one is we need to increase the technology readiness level. And if you look it up, you are going to come up with these words or this term, technology readiness level, that goes from 1 up to 9. And this basically translates to how far from the market an idea or a technology is, right? And so when we do fundamental science at the laboratory scale, sometimes we get up to TRL3, so we have a proof of concept that this technology works. Sometimes we can even go to TRL4, and we can validate the technology into the laboratory, but then we need to keep it up. We need to scale up the technology, use the right tools, make sure that it works, it complies with the regulation of the market, and so on and so on. And so for us, from the last 6-7 years that we have been working, we really think that there are 4 major steps or 4 major points that we need to address when we are trying to move from proof of concept to a prototype ready to go to market, or a market ready prototype, okay? And so the 4 main ones are these. So we need to make sure that our property is protected. So IP protection is really important. So making sure that researchers protect their ideas and their technologies is fundamental. The second one, when we start to advance for prototyping, we need to do the benchmarking. So we need to see if these initial proof of concepts, they make sense for the target market that we have. If we are doing a process for treating chestnuts, if that process is too expensive, it might be wonderful for the environment, but it's going to be difficult to implement because it's too expensive. So we need to do benchmarking. If we have a natural extract that is amazing, but it only has 50% of bioactivity compared with what we already have in the market, again, we need to assess if it's really a necessity of the market. The third thing is the TRL increase. So if we want to go from laboratory validation to scale up and industrial validation or demonstration, we really need to try to improve the processing. And so we might need new technology, or we might need new partners. We need to address that. And finally, the sustainability. And so benchmark and sustainability, sometimes they overlap, but when we talk about sustainability, we talk about environmental sustainability, social sustainability, but most importantly for us is also the economic sustainability. So it only makes sense to advance with the development in terms of economics for the industry. It only makes sense if the technology or if the product is there. For instance, if a food product is sustainable in terms of production. And so we also, through that experience, we noticed that for us to be able to produce these ready-to-market prototypes, we really need to have this partnership. We need to find these right partners. And one is the academia, right? We need academia partners because they already developed the technology sometimes, or if they didn't develop the technology, they are the ones that are going to help the industry to develop it. But we also need the owners, and the owners are the industries or companies that are going to own the product. So you can think of it like, if you are going to do, and because I work a lot with food, let's talk about, we are going to do a new chestnut product. The owner is the company that is going to sell, to produce and sell this food product, chestnut product. The end user is going to be the consumer or the retailer. And when you go to technology, sometimes it's even different. If we have a technology, and I will give an example further in the presentation, that technology owner is the one that is going to produce the technology, whatever it is, a 3D printer, a camera, whatever it is. The end user is the one that is actually using the equipment in the field. And so we really need those two partners in this partnership. Sometimes the owner and the end user, they are the same because they want to develop and to use it. Sometimes they are not. But this type of partnership is very important in our experience. And so I brought to you 3 specific cases of 3 different approaches that we have done in the last couple of years, that I would like to share with you some challenges that we faced. All related with this increase of TRL, ready to market prototyping. And so the first company, Tree Flower Solutions, I have there a QR code for the company. A lot of you already know it. It's a startup that was created to exploit or to explore a technology that was developed here in IPB. So IPB, through their research centers, CIMO, they discovered that one byproduct from the chestnut tree, the flower, has a high antioxidant potential, and if it's used in the processing of making wine, we can preserve the wine without using sulfites. And as you know, sulfites have a lot of health issues. We know that probably in the near future we are going to need to reduce or even to avoid the use of sulfites. And so IPB found that this research worked. And even further, IPB did the research, it protected their IP, they protected the process, they promoted the technology, and then they licensed it. They went beyond proof of concept, and they did validation in the field. So they were already at TRL 5. The issue that happened is that then this company, Tree Flower Solutions, this startup, they licensed the technology, and they wanted to bring this natural extract to the market. But there was a lot of challenges to do this ready-to-market prototype so that they could then do big demonstrations with real clients across Europe. And so The first challenge that they faced is lack of money, lack of investment. And so that's the major issue that we have. The second thing was the technology. So we have the products, but to achieve the product, we needed to optimize the process because we needed to have a process that was industrially relevant and the sustainability should be there. And then finally, they have the challenge of certification and regulation. As you know, especially in Europe, when you want to develop a new food ingredient or a new food product and you want to bring it to the market, if it's considered a novel food, we are going to face challenges in certification. And so that was another challenge. And so specifically, our part in this collaboration was mainly focused on first, helping the company finding the right financing so that they can then increase their TRL. And so we needed to find financing for human resources because they needed their own human resources. They needed money to do research and development to increase the TRL. And they needed also budget to build their own industrial facility. And in Portugal, and because also of a lot of European opportunities, we have a lot of different funding opportunities that we can exploit to get to our goals. Then the second aspect was, once we got the funding, we started to work on the process. How can we build or develop our prototypes, our products, without the process? So for the process, we needed to identify the right technologies. And so that we visit equipment suppliers across Europe, from Germany to Italy, Austria. So we tried to find the equipment that was efficient, but it was cheap. And in this case, I can tell you that what we did was we found the right suppliers in Italy that used German engineering. So we got South European prices for North European quality. That was the best approach that we found. After we got the technology, we started to do the processing. And when you start to do production, scaling up your production, you start to find problems that the laboratory validation didn't show. So for instance, in our case, we started to find precipitations in our extracts from sugars, from proteins that were not present when the initial researchers did their works, their laboratory works. And so when you try to scale up, you are going to find problems, and that's why our partnership with IPB was so important, because they were already involved in developing this product. They were the best ones to try to help us to solve this. Then, once we got the product produced on a scale that was relevant to the industry, we needed to do quality validation. And why we can address the quality of our product in terms of chemical characterization, bioactivity characterization, what we also did, we did a field trial where we produced we produce wine using different concentrations of this target compound or of this product for two purposes. For one, we wanted to see if the product still works after scale up, but we also wanted to have proof to share with potential clients where they could already try wines made with the product. So when we present this prototype to the target clients, so wineries, farmers, we already have products, finalized products that they could taste and see that it really works. And then lastly, the last challenge was related with regulation. In this case, we were not the ones that addressed it. It was the Tree Flower Solutions that is still addressing, and it was related with that issue that I told you, like a natural extract to be introduced into the market, we need to understand the origin of this natural extract. chestnut flowers is not food. It was not food before 1997, so it could be considered a novel food, right? To certify an extract as a novel food, it takes quite a few months, up to 2 years, and it takes quite a little bit of money to do it. Fortunately for them, wine has very specific legislation, and so through the regulations of the International Wine Organization, they can identify this natural extract, this additive, as a tannin, because it is rich in tannins. It comes from chestnut, and as you know, chestnut wood is already used in the wine sector. So there was a loophole that they could exploit to get to the market. But it was a challenge, and we can call it luck or not, but it was a challenge that needed to be addressed. Okay, now the second issue, the second challenge in another project that we faced, and I just wanted to let you know how we did this approach. So we have a researcher here in IPB, a researcher and his team, Pedro Corjeira, that during his research studies, he found out that during the fermentation of table olives, you can increase the speed or the efficiency of the fermentation process if you give light, you expose the table olives and the brine, if you expose it to LED lighting in specific colors, in specific wavelengths. So Pedro and the team that he belongs to, they did the work, they protected the IP, and they published some of part of the results. And once they did that, they talked with us and told us like, okay, I have this technology, it's very promising because it can reduce 20 to 40% the time of fermentation of olive oil, so we can have more efficient processes, better quality olives. And so I really wanted now to test this in the industry. And so that is what we did. So using the partnership agreement that we usually do, what did we find? First, we needed to find the owner for the technology. In this case, who is the owner of the technology? We needed to find a company that would like to produce these reactors where we could put the olive oils, and these olives could be exposed to LED lighting to improve the fermentation. So the owner is the company that is going to produce the fermentation, these fermentation units. This is the unit, the owner. And for the end user, who is the end user? Is the cooperative that produces the table olives, right? Because they are going to buy these reactors from the owner, and they are the ones that are going to use it. And then for developers, we have IPB, that were the ones that already developed this in the first stage, and ourselves. And so here you have an example of what we did. So in the first stage prototyping in the laboratory scale, what Pedro and his team did, they did the exposure of, they put LED lighting inside small vats of olives, not these big ones, just very small ones in the laboratory, and they put the LED lighting in the sides and on top. They exposed the olives, and they saw that the fermentation was quicker. It's a little bit more technical than that, but you get the picture. For the increased TRL, we couldn't move. This is too big, right? If we put LEDs on the side or on top, we are not going to reach the middle. And one option could be we introduce the LEDs in the middle, and then we can mix the olives a few times a week or something like that to make sure that we expose all the olives. The problem of doing that is that by mixing the olives, they are going to be more squishy, you know, like they need we like hard olives when we are eating them. If we mixture them a lot, they are going to suffer from all of this mixturing. And so the idea was, okay, then for prototyping, we need to do things differently. What we are going to do is, instead of putting the LEDs inside, the lighting inside, we are going to make the brine pass through the LED, and just only the aqueous phase, so the brine, the water with salt, is the unique part that is going to move around in the system. So we don't move the olives. We don't move the olives. In that way, we don't affect the quality, the physical characteristics of the olives, but we still give radiation to the bacteria that is present, so yeasts that are present in the brine solution. But that was a big change from the initial work that Pedro and his team already made in the beginning. And so adaptations needed to occur. We lost efficiency in the fermentation velocities, but work is still being done, and the project will only finish in a few years, couple of years. So we are right now doing the second year validation of the system. And so while our entity, Morcolab, and the technology owner was focused more on building the prototype, IPB still did all the characterizations. So they assess the dynamics of the fermentation, assess the growth of the microbial population, they assess the progress of the different phenolics that confers the astringency to the flavor of the olives, and they also focus a lot on the sensorial attributes of the olives, because in the end, the process is quicker, but if the olives don't taste good, no one cares about this, right? So IPB still perform all the quality assurances that needs to be done to understand the process. And the last example, and I'm really finishing, I'm going to pass a lot of this. It's a different type of challenge that we also face and sometimes we don't think about, is that when we want to do market-ready prototyping, sometimes it's a product, but to do a product, we need to do the process, right? And for instance, in this case, we have an European project that is going to be implemented or is being implemented in the south of Portugal in Algarve. And basically, it's a circular economy demonstrator. And very simply is, we want to produce food. To produce food with fresh water, we are going to get fresh water from the sea or from a river. And we are going to use modular desalination units to produce that water. We are also going to recover water from olive pomace. So olive pomace, when we produce olive oil, around 70% of the olive pomace is water. We want to recover that water and treat it so that we can use it to produce food. To treat the water or in the olive pomace units, we need energy. And the energy is going to come from agrovoltaics and from a biogas unit that we are going to have in place. So all these different units, they have been developed in research and innovation actions in different European projects. And what happened then is like all these different projects came together and developed a proposal for the Commission to do an innovation action to demonstrate all these different units working together. So to produce food, using a sustainable source of water that in terms is going to use a sustainable source of energy. And we have challenges, and my team specifically, we are going to work on the biophenol extraction unit because we want to recover the water from the olive pomace. That water is going to be rich in phenolics. We need to remove them so that we can irrigate plants and we can get value from these phenolics. But that is the technical part of the market prototyping phase, right? And that's what I've been talking so far until now. Identifying the right technology, optimizing the process, and so on and so on. In this case, our main challenge to do the prototyping is not related with technical difficulties. This is the main issues that we have. The main issue that we have is that we need to install the project in Algarve because that's the target area because of lack of water, right? We need our process, our demonstrator, to be near a place with access to salt water. The problem is that we have a lot of locations close to access to salt water. The problem is that part is inside the National Ecological Reserve. Part is inside the National Agricultural Reserve land. Another part is inside the Natura 2000 network. When you put it all together, the green and the yellow is where we cannot build anything. And so sometimes when you want to do prototyping, the challenge might not be technical, it might be bureaucracy, administrative issues, or plain simple regulation issues. And so this is a challenge that we are facing right now, that it's not technical, but it's still there. And when I show you the Innovation Debt Valley, financing, TRL increase, technology, sustainability, and regulation. So all these problems together are something that we need to face and that we fight or that we try to work on every day during our work. And so to resume, I would say like these aspects are the key aspects that we take into consideration when going from a laboratory validated technology up to market ready approach. Thank you.
Chandra, normally the administrative and the bureaucracy, it's very difficult to ultrapass. Moving on to our last presentation, I call to the floor Jordi, our colleague and friend Jordi. She's professor at Business and Management in Universidade de Rovira e Virgílio, in campus of Tortosa, in Tarragona. And he also are the co-CEO of T-Value, a company, a business builder that create and invest in startups in the agri-food, logistical, healthcare, and eco-industry sectors. Jordi, your micro, please. And the presentation.
The presentation at the end?
Yes.
Because if not, well, thank you very much for inviting me. And a pleasure to explain a little bit of my experience. I have been now around 30, almost 26 at the university and teaching business administration. I always say that business administrators are very useless, okay? We cannot invent things. We almost never innovate in anything. So we need engineers, okay? We need people with ideas that create things, useful people, okay? The problem is that useful people not always speak the language of the market, okay? So in the last years, I always say that I'm working as a translator, okay? In 2014, I decided to start a startup with 3 of my students. I don't know if you have visited recently the McDonald's, something like that, but when you go to this kind of nice restaurants, okay, you now usually find like a screen when you can select everything, do your order, work, okay, for McDonald's a little bit. We were one of the first developing smart menus in Spain in 2014, okay. We were 4 people, 3 has less or were less than 20 years old. We didn't have any experience in real companies, a lot in simulated and a lot explaining what to do in classes, but in reality, we didn't have enough knowledge to manage a company, so we did it wrong. Okay, but for me it was something strange that we managed the company wrong, but the company has a huge success. So my first idea is something that a colleague of mine told me some years ago, that it's not necessary to manage a company well to get good results. Okay? This is shocking. I see your faces. Most of you perhaps are engineers, so I understand the engineer mind. What the hell Jordi is saying, okay? After that first startup, we sell it, okay? And I decided not to do anything related with startups and so on. I was like lying 6 months in a sofa in my home. We finished, exhausted that part of scaling the project, selling the project, and so on. But after 6 months, I decided to wake up, and I said, I'm going to do something, and something was another company. Okay, so we started again and again. Now in T-Valley, that is my second life, okay? I'm teaching at the university, but at the same time, I have an accelerator, an incubator, and an investor company, an investment company. We have like around 60 different companies invested, okay? So we have like a lot of strange things to explain if you want. Today, I'm going to make you work a little bit because I'm the last one, so most of you were almost sleeping after the nice lunch we had. So you can choose a small group, okay? You can use your colleagues around, and you are free to invent something, okay? Imagine that you have a very nice and incredible idea, and almost everything is done. So you can decide what's your proposal to the market, what kind of technology you are going to sell, okay? You can also decide in which step of the process you are in, like TRL something, okay? Decide it's only a concept, or you have validated it in the laboratory, or it's ready for the market, okay? So decide a technology. I like crazy technologies, so just imagine crazy things, okay? Decide the step of development, where is the project, your project, okay? Think, what are you going to do in that project? You're going to work every day, you're going to leave the university and to start a spin-off with that. You're going to rent offices and hire people, okay? Think a little bit, what do you want to do in that group, okay? And you can discuss about this, because we need teams, and teams means people doing something there, okay? And after that, decide the go-to-market strategy, what kind of monetization process you are going to use, okay? It can be a patent and you sell the patent. You can create a spin-off or whatever, manage the company, okay? That's all. No more information. I'll give you 5 minutes, it's okay? 5? I'm going to ask you, so be ready, okay? 5 minutes, join some roommates, decide the technology, decide the level of development, market strategy, monetization strategy, and that's all. Done? More or less? More time? 3 minutes more, okay? 3 minutes, so write it down, whatever you need, 3 minutes. Okay, time is over, so be ready to explain a little bit the technology, okay, technology, and how you are going to sell it or monetize it, okay? Ready? Over there? Ready? Technology and the way you are going to monetize it. Let's go. We are going to start with that group. Here, my friends. So, we're going to start? Yeah.
So we invent a product that is for Brazilian immigrants in Europe. That is the flavors, scents, smell from Brazil. For example, I was telling, I never more, then I came to here, I never more feel the smell of a fruit called jaca. I would love to feel this sensation again. So this is our product.
No, it's fine.
Yes. We s- we- we're going to address this immigrant market in Europe. We will start by Brazilian community, but we can expand to other countries that have many
a lot of expats in Europe. Obviously, we're selling air. We're selling air in cans. So it's going to be easy to bring the extract, produce the air here, and distribute it along the normal channels. So instead of going to the state-of-the-art technology, we decided to go to a low-tech solution and sell something that is light to distribute all over the world.
So, smell what you want, just open the can. This was more or less the solution, okay?
Because I have a colleague that has a company that works with perfume engineering and with olfactive brands. Olfactive brands. Okay, so you speak with her, you tell her what sensations you need to feel, and she creates based on mathematics, engineering. She's able to create, for example, in the mart shopping, the area of food is the perfume that you feel, and of a lot of stores in Porto is made by this company. That is Essences. It comes from my lab in Porto, my former lab. Now I am here in Simo, okay, but formerly I made my PhD at Porto, at University of Porto, in this laboratory, and I was for some time in this laboratory, and they are very close friends of me.
Nice. Thank you. So we have the Sense of the Wall company, okay, with cans, and we have also the provider. So everything, everything here. Nice. It's done. Your turn.
Yeah, so our problem is to how can we make immigrant people they are finishing their studies here in Portugal to work in professional context. So we were talking about like an app or something like that related, something kind of Tinder for between the person, the professional, and the enterprise, without pictures and etc. So the match with them and to go to the next phases to I think it's that. We didn't discuss about that. Yeah, we didn't have time.
Here we have an idea without the monetization process that it's quite important. Okay, so thank you for your approach. Anyone from here?
We have a team of engineering, psychologists, AI experts, architects, and so on. And the team come up with something more, I would say, social, educational, psychological interest. So the idea is to create an app that has the possibility to test psychological and IQ for people and how the society kind of it's a more of, we didn't go to the detail, but it's a more of a psychological and societal yeah, I don't know the depth of it. It was suggested by my colleague who can explain it further, but yeah, this is how I script it. It's practically you are in your app and you have geometrical shapes here that can rotate and move and so on. And on the other side you have landscapes. So you have trees, grass, plants and so on. And this will be kind of linked to a wide public online, and people will kind of click from their ends on what is representative for them from both sides. And then this will give to the analyst, psychologist or the social science expert an understanding of how the society behave or so on, which is a simple way of what is now done in social media. Our data, our interaction with the screens is shared with somewhere with the big I, maybe not us from the other side of the world, and see how to influence us based on how we are. So it's a bit scary as a tool, but it could be very beneficial. Yeah, do you have something to add? She's the expert who suggested it.
Okay, freemium stage. So all data will be storage and used after that. Okay. Okay. I love the Scratch prototyping. Okay, this is a very nice tool. Okay, for lean startup design thinking. I love it. Okay, and the last one over here. Technology and monetization system.
First of all, we are thinking to create
Like a singer.
we are thinking to create a supplement based on moringa. Is a plant from Angola. The methodology will be extraction of a bioactive compound.
Okay. You're going to get that compound and how you're going to have money with that.
Okay, so we're going to make a tablet, a supplement, and it will have lots of different features. So people can buy it either in a pharmacy, I know it's, or we would sell it to the health services.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So
Love it. No one wants to create a company. It's nice. Okay, so more or less are in the statistics of my students. Okay. Sorry. I didn't know that you were working on that. Technology and monetization system.
Okay, so our team is always standing. We developed... Our team is always standing. We've developed a pair of bracelets for our feet that give support to people with mobility issues. So whatever the situation, they will always remain standing. This can be used by young people when they are entering a new sport to manage their equilibrium and have a briefer learning curve, but it can also be used for other citizens that have mobility issues. We are currently on TRL 3, so we have a proof of concept. We are aiming to gather important stakeholders to connect with us by interacting with athletes and health professionals. And later on in the process, we would like to sell the components, just the bracelets, and use an application to collect data, and with that data formulate new plans for these sort of applications.
Okay. No startup. Nice. Thank you very much, Sergun, for your collaboration. If you can share the slides. I have 2 slides, just 2 slides. Sometimes I explain it more technically, okay, but I'm trying to explain it in a soft way. If you need more technical issues, just tell me. I discovered just 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, okay, what was this? TRL and something. I just discovered it 3 or 4 years ago, okay? This means 20 something, okay? We created a technology company, a hardware and software technology company in 2014 without knowing all this. Just we decided to create something and we went to the market. That's all. Okay. Here you have like two different colors. Okay. Most of us in academia are in the upside part. Okay, trying to decide if we had or not had intellectual property. We have to patent it. If it could be nice to create a trademark, utilities, model, designs, these kind of things. So we are trying to develop useful things, try to see if all these things really work, really do what we want to be done, okay? And trying to go from idea, basic principles, to the final step, okay? This is what I call research and protection, or research mindset, okay? This is the way that scientists think. But this is not the way that the market thinks, okay? If we want to select the other side, the business model development, the executive mindset, if you want, we are talking about proof of concepts. We are working on prototypes that usually doesn't work, okay? But we sell it nicely so we can get customers and clients without anything working, okay? Sometimes we arrive to the minimum viable product, and sometimes we start doing pilots and so on. Next slide, please. Okay. So which way is the correct way? It depends. I ask you the technology. Just one or two, perhaps, groups decided how to sell it, okay? A technology, an idea is not a company. A company is more than an idea or more than a technology, and sometimes in academia we are not very used to understand this, okay? Bad products, very, very bad products can be sold, and very, very good products are not going to be sold, never, okay? Which way is the correct way? It depends on the team. It depends on the way that we decide, okay, to continue with our company. The upper strategy, more or less, you know it well, okay? I'm going to talk a little bit about the directive mind or executive mind. We didn't need products. We didn't need finished products. We need dreams. We need ideas. We need something to communicate to the market, to the customers and to the investors. Okay? I have two like examples to share with you. One has raised 10,000 million dollars with an app that doesn't work, and with a community that doesn't exist at all, and with an ecosystem that is not full of anything. 10,000 million. I have a friend that decided to create a ring to monitorize the glucose. She was working with that company around 10 years. They received more than 100 million of investors, and at the end, one day she said, "Hi, we have no idea how to do it." But after 10 years of developing, after 10 years of having money, okay? That line uses ideas, uses dreams to be sold, okay? Here you have different ways of getting money. Free apps, incubator accelerators, business angels, and so on. If you want to if you want me to explain it a little bit deeply, just ask, okay? What I wanted to explain today is that sometimes we are very focused on the product. And sometimes it's not necessary to have a very good product. It's necessary to have something better than we have at each stage. Okay? It's okay? Yeah? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I know that we are delayed, but I don't know if someone has questions to Alex and or to Jordi. No. Thank you very much for your presentations. And now we have the coffee break, and we also have the prototypes exhibition, and we come back to the library on Thursday. Thank you very much.